Hi everyone, it's Lasha. So it's 10 o'clock in Beamsville, Ontario, and I promised all of you that I would tell you the ghost story. Whew, okay. So I was going to illustrate it because that's just the way that I am. But tonight, I was calling upon my ancestors for guidance and so on, and saying what I needed to say to whatever power you believe in, because you have to remember there's always a power above ourselves. So basically what happened was my mother and I used to fight a lot. And we were living at 375 Park Road in Grimsby. And to back all of this up, tomorrow I'll put up photos and so on. And I'll show you the actual picture. But I was lying in bed, and my mother and I bought a house together, and I lived in the basement. She lived upstairs. And we were fighting just silly, and I was about 22, so my mother would have been 43, maybe. She had me when I was really young. And I was very, very close to my Nana, my mother's mother, so my grandmother. So there was this pole. It was an older house. So there were these, like, it would have been a pole like the one in my basement now, but it was, it looked like a square, and my bedroom was on one side and the living room was on the other side. I had turquoise carpet, and this, on one of my videos you'll see it's like an 80s couch, and it's kind of has rainbows, and it's really colorful. Anyways, that was in the 80s and the 90s. So this would have been the early 90s. It had to have been. But I remember I was working at Jenny Craig as a consultant, and I was working for the Visiting Homemakers of Hamilton Wentworth, and I would volunteer at Shadot McMaster and always see my grandmother, because I worked 3 splits a week, or 2 splits a week. So this one night, my mother and I got into this just crazy argument, and I know, we always seem to hurt the ones that we love the most, which I'll never understand, but at any rate, so my mother goes down to the beach, and she comes back and she said how still it was, and so I went to sleep. She was upstairs sleeping, and it looked like an apparition, like a person, but almost like a black and white film of the person, and the woman's feet were kind of outward and olive colored skin. She held her hands very closely to the way I do. Very graceful, very tall, long neck. And I thought, oh, it must be a dream, because I was sort of in that REM sleep where you're waking up. So I'm actually, for being my age and being as silly as I am, I once was a very methodical business woman. Never shrewd, however, a businesswoman. So at any rate, I thought, okay, this is a dream. And I had to work at 6 in the morning, you know, sorry, not work. I had to be up at 6 and out the door by 7:30 to get to the center to open for 8 o'clock. And I always used to get pissed off when the center director would come in at 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. God, that would make me mad. At any rate, that's not the way I ever ran my center. But at any rate, and the weird thing was this. So I know I'm coming out of REM sleep, but I see that figure that I just described. And then I go back to lie down and I'm freezing and I'm awake by this point. And I closed my eyes and I opened them again and I sat up, and this woman was coming a little toward me very gingerly, and she was looking around the pole, like the post. And then I started shaking and I was wide awake by then. My pulse was racing. And then I said, just lay down. And then I opened my eyes and she's looking over me gingerly. And I started to scream. I ran up the stairs. I ran into my mother's room. I flick on the light and my mother said, "What is wrong with you? You look like you just saw a ghost." I swear on Sophie's life. That night, I found for the first time and saw that was my great grandmother. So my grandmother's mother, Alice Nestor Brown. And then the ghost story that I told on the video when I'm talking about or reading The Exorcism of Annalise Michael, I talk about that apparition that I saw when I was no more than 5 or 6 years old. So that's the truth. I'll retell it again and you can watch my body language and all of that. And I could have made this a really interesting video with, but I just like old campfire stories and nighttime stories. So if you want to read what I'm saying, turn on settings and have a really good sleep, everybody. Be kind to yourselves, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll upload my opinion piece, and I'll be doing part 3 in reference to the cards of the Princess of Wales.